guest speaker today has spent the last 13 years helping people to reconnect with the goodness of our planet, working to build a just and sustainable local food system as a community organizer in rural Kentucky, a vegetable farmer, and environmental educator. Carol Gunderson is founder and executive director of the Food Literacy Project, where since 2006, she has transformed 8 acres of vegetable fields at Oxmoor Farm into a dynamic outdoor classroom where over 18,000 children, families, teachers, and underserved teens have had a positive and life-changing experience with healthy food and farming. Diverse groups from public and private school students to immigrants and refugees have accessed this working farm to explore the story behind their food. The Food Literacy Project reaches youth most at risk of obesity, engaging their minds, their bodies, and taste buds in planting, harvesting, and cooking with fresh vegetables. I had the privilege of meeting Carol and Karen Moskowitz, who was introduced earlier, the executive director of New Roots, during the 2013 Bingham Fellows program. The collaboration of our team, which included Chris Chase, who's here today as well, resulted in the development of the Farm to Family Obesity Prevention Initiative, which recently received a Rotary Foundation District grant. In the back of the room today, there's a big sign-up board with lots of places for people to get involved by giving just a couple of hours of time to support the work of this great program that you're going to hear more about today. So I hope at the end of the program as you leave, you'll add your name on one slot at least to become a part of this exciting change initiative. So, without further ado, let me introduce my friend, Carol Gunderson.
Can you all hear me back there? Well, thank you, Alice. I'm really pleased to be here today and just appreciate the invitation. And of course, Alice has been just an incredible partner in the Farm to Family initiative and really a great champion for the Food Literacy Project, an organization I've had the privilege of working with since 2006. I'm truly honored to work alongside her to improve the health of our community. And again, I'm grateful for the invitation to be here today. Thanks also to your membership for adopting this project. The Farm to Family initiative was recently the recipient of a Rotary International District grant, as Alice mentioned, in the amount of $2,500, with anchor funding from this club and additional support from the J-Town and Southwest Rotary clubs. In addition to the grant, which addresses 3 of the Rotary Foundation's 6 areas of focus: disease prevention and treatment, basic education and literacy, and economic and community development, Rotary members have already added much value to our work through volunteerism with the Food Literacy Project at Oxmoor Farm and the New Roots Fresh Stop Project at Wellington Elementary School. Your support has leveraged further investment from other funders, including a prestigious Johnson & Johnson Community Healthcare Program Award. I'd like to talk today about an effort to promote healthy lifestyles for the prevention of childhood obesity among children in our community. The Farm to Family initiative is a collaborative effort at 2 local elementary schools, Wellington Elementary, our pilot school, and Hazelwood, where we intend to replicate next year, to do 3 things. Create an environment where children and families are empowered to lead the effort that builds their community's food IQ. Create demand for fresh, nutritious food, and reduce food insecurity by building the infrastructure to make healthy food more available. The initiative was born out of the knowledge that the future of our next generation is threatened by obesity, diabetes, and other chronic conditions caused largely by poor diet and lack of physical activity. As many of you know, over the past 30 or so years, rates of diet-related illness have increased considerably nationwide. And as of 2010, Kentucky was 3rd in the nation in childhood obesity. Speed, efficiency, and convenience have replaced tradition, relationship, and sense of place in our food system. How many of you all can recognize the picture on the left here? Oh, come on. French fries, yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course, it's a McDonald's French fry container. I didn't even show you the whole thing. And pretty quickly, you're able to recognize what it is. So what about the image on the right? Poison ivy? That's an interesting guess. It is not poison ivy. It's not basil. Any other? I heard it. Somebody said it. Yeah, it's a potato plant. Yeah, it's a potato plant. Of course, without which we wouldn't have French fries. But as you know, it's considerably less familiar to most of us, and certainly to younger generations who have even less experience with food and farming than most of us probably do. We are constantly bombarded with messages that encourage us to eat in unhealthy ways. And many in our community, particularly in low-income neighborhoods, lack adequate access to fresh and healthy foods. In fact, people living in poverty are disproportionately impacted by poor health outcomes, with a life expectancy up to 13 years less in Louisville's poorest neighborhoods. Meanwhile, food systems aren't isolated just to production and consumption. They're affected by policy, the economy, and societal demands. Our food system impacts our health, environment, and culture, all important considerations as we work to address diet-related health disparities. At the Food Literacy Project, we have the unique opportunity to expose young people to fresh, healthy food while it's still growing in the ground, directly impacting their experience of place and relationships within our food system, as well as their taste buds. Thanks to the Bullitt family, farmer Ivor Chudkowski, as well as many supporters in this room and throughout the community, Oxmoor Farm has been an 8-acre classroom since 2006, where over 20,000 youth and families have explored the story behind their food. This drives our mission of inspiring a new generation to build healthy relationships with food, farming, and the land. We envision a community with a just and sustainable food system that cultivates healthy citizens. As someone who didn't eat anything green until I was 10 years old, and still really didn't embrace much variety of vegetables until I was well into college, spending every free minute I had building a greenhouse, thinning Swiss chard seedlings, and picking bushels of green beans at a close-by vegetable farm, I can tell you from personal experience that participating in growing and harvesting vegetables can be a powerful motivator for seeking out fresh, healthy food. Upon my return to my hometown of Louisville, I began working for Ivor Chudkowski, growing vegetables for local markets at historic Oxmoor Farm. Ivor recognized a demand for a working farm where people could explore the story behind their food. People often asked him, knowing that his farm was in Jefferson County, if they could bring a group of students out to his farm to learn about where food comes from. We knew that young people especially needed more positive experiences with fresh, nutritious food, and that there was a demand for hands-on, field-to-fork experiences. After testing the idea of the farm serving dual purposes, commercial vegetable production and outdoor classroom, we recognized what a rich resource Oxmoor could be as a place to learn about food. The Food Literacy Project was incorporated as a nonprofit organization in 2006 and has provided access to this working farm ever since. We invite young people and their families, through partnerships with schools and community agencies, to the farm to plant, harvest, cook, and eat healthy food, and to experience the pleasures and rewards of growing and cooking with fresh vegetables. They get their hands dirty, try new things, and explore the journey their food goes on, as we like to say, from field to fork. Meanwhile, the New Roots Fresh Stop Project had been working since 2009 towards a vision for every Louisville family to have access to fresh local food in their neighborhoods, integrate cooking from scratch into their daily routines, reduce diet-related illness, and enjoy long, healthy lives. Led by Executive Director Karen Moskowitz, New Roots' primary initiative is the Fresh Stop, a community-driven food access project where families pool their money and SNAP benefits, formerly known as food stamps, to purchase in bulk from local farmers on a sliding scale. With a focus on community organizing, education, and building residents' business skills, the project has connected over 800 people to fresh food produced by more than 20 local farmers, including a group of incredibly hardworking teens last summer at Oxmoor Farm. After several years with the Food Literacy Project, I had the privilege of working with Karen Moskowitz from New Roots and Alice Bridges from Kentucky One Health as part of the Bingham Fellows program, as Alice mentioned. Charged with building a smart food culture, the Bingham Fellows saw an opportunity to help the fledgling partnership between the Food Literacy Project and New Roots blossom. Rather than create yet another new initiative, these passionate community trustees wanted to take something that was already working and help it really thrive. They leveraged the best assets and core strengths of the two organizations, connecting us with new expertise, resources, and interested stakeholders to build our capacity and ultimately our impact. The Bingham Fellows recognize that with the right support, the people who live in neighborhoods of need, where residents face physical and economic barriers to fresh, nutritious food, are uniquely capable of leading the effort to create a smart food culture. Children in particular can be agents of change within their families, with their schools serving as catalysts. How did the Bingham Fellows know this? Because they saw it firsthand at Wellington Elementary School, a school of more than 440 students located in a diverse part of Shively. Shively has high rates of poverty and unemployment and low income and educational attainment. The area is classified as a food desert, and 39% of Wellington students are overweight or obese. But Wellington has some amazing assets. It's a health and fitness magnet school. It's situated on a beautiful campus with a walking trail and fitness lab, and it's now the pilot site for our Farm to Family Obesity Prevention Initiative, where the Food Literacy Project and New Roots have partnered with Wellington students, families, and staff to build a smart food culture. The goal of the Farm to Family Initiative is to promote healthy lifestyles for the prevention of childhood obesity among children at two local elementary schools, Wellington and Hazelwood. By building demand for and access to fresh, locally grown vegetables, we aim to improve the nutritional proficiency of children and families. In other words, we want kids and families to know healthy foods when they see them and have the knowledge, skills, and desire to prepare and eat more of them at home. And now I'd like to share a little bit more about some of the exciting things happening at Wellington as part of this initiative. First, farm-based education and youth development. Students in grades 1, 3, and 4 are planting, harvesting, tasting, and developing recipes using vegetables they harvest themselves at Oxmoor Farm. These hands-in-the-dirt experiences engage students' minds, bodies, and senses in the work of farming and cooking with their harvest. Our experience at the Food Literacy Project has been that when young people take ownership of the process of growing and harvesting vegetables and deciding what goes into a dish, they will eat their vegetables. We recently had a program participant, a student, tell us, "I had no idea these plants would taste so good." Our Youth Community Agriculture program invites underserved teens to grow, cook, and market fresh vegetables and develop leadership skills while building food justice in their community. This year, we're also piloting a Field to Fork after-school club at Wellington. Students will grow vegetables in the school garden and use them to prepare healthy recipes, then work to support the Fresh Stop food access program at their school. Second, family education and engagement builds families' demand for fresh fruits and vegetables and the practical skills to incorporate them into everyday meals. School-based family nights, potlucks, cooking demonstrations, and food justice classes inspire families to cook and consume healthy foods together. Families explore food issues specific to their neighborhood, share meals and recipes featuring freshly harvested produce, and begin to exhibit what I've heard Karen Moskowitz refer to as positive peer pressure as they share favorite methods of preparation for the new and the familiar foods they're trying. And third, the Wellington Fresh Stop. The Fresh Stop model lets families pool their money and food stamps to become volume purchasers from local farmers. By joining the Wellington Fresh Stop, each family can access a share of seasonal produce that will feed 2 to 4 people for 2 weeks for only $12. This unique model, which is driven by community and school leaders who create, lead, and sustain the Fresh Stops, was born out of New Root's belief that those most affected by the challenge of food access must create the solution. New Roots, however, offers more than just fresh produce. The organization creates community through food justice leadership development classes and cooking demonstrations, and hosts potlucks and festivals, including the deliciously popular Strawberry Jam Festival. Participants in this year's Field to Fork After School Club will receive prescriptions for free weekly Fresh Stop shares. We are presently working to resource a more robust vegetable prescription program in the coming year to incentivize healthy behaviors rather than having to treat health conditions down the road. Evidence from public health research tells us that healthy behaviors, such as eating fresh vegetables and exercising, are socially contagious, just like unhealthy behaviors like smoking and eating fast food. Our approach is to leverage these powerful human relationships and to build peer and family support for healthy eating habits. So what does success look like? We are presently working with faculty and a PhD candidate from Johns Hopkins University's Bloomberg School of Public Health to refine the metrics used to measure success. One of the Food Literacy Project's goals is for students to show improvement in their food IQ as measured by pre and post tests. The data so far shows a clear impact. Third graders who participated last year had remarkable gains, including more than doubling the number who eat vegetables daily or want to, and nearly tripling the number who can prepare a healthy recipe, increasing from 34% to 97%. The Wellington Fresh Stop measures success in terms of Fresh Stop participation. Our goal is to recruit 80 families to Fresh Stop membership by May 2014 and to establish a strong and well-functioning community team to lead the effort. The Wellington Fresh Stop has taken off much faster than any of the other 3 neighborhood-based Fresh Stops in town. 72 families have joined to date, and its leadership is already planning to expand the number of distributions next year. Today, there are 138 members and a strong leadership team. And starting in June, you too can buy a Fresh Stop share, either for yourself or for another family. Wellington Fresh Stop leader and shareholder Jennifer Hardy, whose daughter was a student there last year, commented, "This experience has changed my life forever and my daughter's life. We think about food in a whole different way now. We are more aware of what we're putting into our bodies. This Fresh Stop has saved my life. My diabetes is more under control, I'm losing weight, and I'm learning as I go. As for my daughter, she tries new veggies now that she never would have done in the past, and in fact, she asks for them." As you can see, there's a lot more work to be done at Wellington, the very first school in the community where we've collaborated for maximum impact. We're grateful to be joined by a cohort of community partners, including Kentucky One Health, the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and Jefferson County Public Schools, as well as, of course, the Rotary Club, without whose contributions this effort simply would not be possible. I know there's Rotary member representation in many of these partner organizations, and we're grateful for your support and involvement. And now I'd like to invite you all to join Alice, Karen, and myself in building a smart food culture among local youth and families. Rotarian Rick Harned has already gotten involved with volunteer service at Oxmoor Farm and the Wellington Fresh Stop. And opportunities exist both with the Food Literacy Project, working with kids on the farm, and gardening in our youth learning garden, as well as with New Roots, facilitating food justice classes and the Fresh Stop distribution days. And I think volunteer dates, although they're in the back there to sign up today, will also circulate by email. The Food Literacy Project is also hosting a volunteer workday just for Rotary Club members on Saturday, May 10th, and I hope you'll join us then to get your hands dirty in our outdoor classroom. And you can also join New Roots at the Strawberry Jam Festival at Wellington on May 20th and help with planning in the meantime. Finally, I want to thank you again for the invitation to be with you today, and especially for your support of the Farm to Family initiative. I invite you all now to embrace our message of healthy eating by taking home the recipe cards on your tables and cooking up some zesty garden greens, a recipe courtesy of our students. So thank you again.